Don't public shame me, I'm here.
That's a good way to start the stream. All right. Nat, did you pause the music? Alrighty, I'm just gonna boop. Hello, rhythm. And I'm gonna do that. Alrighty, this is gonna be a very chill stream. Welcome to Court of Spades, everyone. I, as always, am your GM, Emily. And I also play the character of Nyx, who is our tiefling mythical beast. This week we have some housekeeping, and we also have only 2 other members of the party other than myself present due to Colossal Con and other commitments. But first I'm going to just kind of readdress something that we posted on our Twitter, and I believe also on our Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. But Zale, who was DMing for the Mystics of the Nexus stream, has officially stepped away due to personal choices regarding his mental health, and we wish him all the best. But Mystics will be put on an indefinite hiatus until then, as well as the character of Peru from this campaign has been retired. That I think is everything. But yeah, so the current party remains to be Nyx, Jezebel, Marin, Gunby, and Peter. Gunby and Peter, who are not with us tonight. But that's okay. We'll just have a nice relaxed session with the 3 of us. Good pals. Yeah. So I'm gonna let the other 2 introduce themselves real fast, and then we will kind of start this session.
So I'm Nat. I play Jezebel. I did post about it on the Instagram, and there's one more character intro that will be put up from Nexus. That's Roland's intro. After that, I'll move on to Court of Spades intros.
With yeah. You're on top of it this week.
I'm Wiz. I play Marin Marlius, the half-elf wizard.
Very good. Awesome. Okay.
That says where we are right now, huh?
Yeah, this is gonna be a real fun. It's gonna be a real fun week. I just want to say it's June and I'm cold, so.
I'm honestly trying to figure out when all this rain is gonna stop.
Yeah. I apologize. Oh my god, someone's knocking on my door. I am streaming. Goodbye. Thank you. My brother peeked his head in. Anyway. Very professional here. We are pros. This is completely unedited.
I'll take it out in post, it's fine.
Yeah. Jeremy, edit that out in post. Thanks. Anyway, I'm gonna apologize in advance if I end up having to eat something a little bit into the stream. I'm gonna keep the mouth noises to a minimum, so I might mute on and off. But I haven't eaten since 2 p.m. and it's now 7:40, so
I'm munching on an apple right now, so
yeah, there you go. Okay, I'm gonna mute to get my dice out, and then we will begin.
So Wiz, did you have any grand ideas about this map that we have to deal with?
What?
The map.
Wait, repeat that?
Do you have any ideas about the map? I've
Are
literally.
you asking me, Wiz? Or
Yes, you whiz.
absolutely not? The answer was no in both circumstances.
Okay. I've literally spent an entire week thinking about this goddamn map.
Yeah, so have I, and it just hasn't amounted to anything.
So, yeah.
I'm glad.
Thus my somewhat salty post on the Twitter, or on the Instagram, for Tea&D.
Give me... Where's my... Okay, never mind. I'll just use my old trusty dice box instead of my new... Ow, I just shut my finger in it! Okay, this is going good. Instead of my... whatchamacallit, my padded one. Alright, I thought that instead of picking up exactly where we left off for the session, since it's just the two of us. Oh, that's good. Okay. I mean the three of us. If you guys wanted, I was thinking about maybe if you wanted to talk a little bit about the backstories of your characters, not so much like the in-depth, like, let's discover this about each other right now, like, you know, like the stuff that could be discussed in character, but more so like, what kind of upbringing did you see your character having and stuff like that. And maybe just talk a little bit about that kind of stuff for like maybe 15 minutes, just to kind of like fill some time since we have less people and so I can't go as far into the story as I wanted to. If you think that'd be interesting. If you don't, you can totally say that as well.
I am always down to talk about OCs, particularly Dungeons and Dragons ones.
Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna speak directly to Wiz.
Yeah.
I know you're probably con crunching or multitasking right now, but you are 1/3 of this stream right now, and I need your attention here.
My mom.
And she left.
Welcome back.
Did you hear any of that, Wiz?
Yeah, I don't think you heard my reply though.
I heard
Something about your mom.
about your mom.
I was talking to my mom
Oh.
about a typo she made.
Oh, that's good. Okay. So we're all set? Did you hear what I said before that about talking backstory?
No.
Okay, cool. Cool. So I said
Sorry, Em, I love you.
please pay attention!
I will now.
I will deduct points of inspiration from you, meaning negative points of inspiration. Means I'll just impose random disadvantage on one of your rolls. For the first 15 minutes of the session, I kind of wanted to talk about, like, where your characters came from, like, birth-wise and stuff, like, the kind of upbringing they had, just, like, not the kind of stuff that you'd want to, like, have kind of come out in conversation through, like, RPing and stuff like that, but more so, like, kind of how you saw your character come to be the way they are today. Like family and like how they were, like the kind of environment I guess that they were born into, just to take up like a little bit of stream time and disclose a little bit more about the characters, because obviously we have 3 of us this week, so I can't go as deep into the story as I wanted to. So if you think that'd be a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 I can talk about those. How many, like, 11 siblings? 1, Or
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I know that Nat has put a lot of thought into things that Jez has done that I don't think would organically ever come up in game. Like why Jez speaks all of the languages that they just happen to be proficient in. So like, go ahead, Nat, talk a little bit about Jez, since Jez is our newest addition to this party.
Okay. Oh gosh, where to even start? So Jez is from the north, and I think that's come up a couple of times. Like way north. We're talking like Alaska, essentially. It's warm for a little bit of the year, but mostly cold and snowy. And I actually didn't finish counting how many siblings they have. I think there's like 14 of them, something like that. But they're kind of a poorer family that just gets by a lot of the time in a town that was ruled mostly by the druid circle of the area. And they learned all of their medical knowledge from their mom, who was like a healer for the town people. And spent a lot of their childhood just like raising the their 7 younger siblings. They have 2 older siblings and 7 younger. There you go. There's all the numbers. So they kind of had responsibility thrust on them at a young age. It wasn't really something that bothered them. They really enjoy people, and that's just kind of how they are. But they spent a lot of time like taking care of people and being the advice giver and like learning to like deal with issues that came up when there might not have been a more adulty adult around. And that kind of stuff.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
So are they they're very naturally like family oriented because of that?
Yeah. The whole cuddling thing from the last episode is actually very something that they just grew up kind of doing. They don't have like a huge house, so all the kids didn't have. It's probably 2 rooms for all of the children. If that. So it was just a lot of times just a puddle of children in a bunch of blankets on the floor with some pillows. Yeah, so that was very much just, this is fine because this is what I'm used to. Kind of forgetting that maybe that wouldn't be cool with everybody else. It was fine though. Nobody cared.
Yeah. Lucky for Jez, Nyx craves affection in all forms. Having been starved of it most of his life.
He's gonna be sick of affection by the time this campaign is done.
So what made Jez leave that little home situation to become an adventurer?
So actually first they kind of got moved. I guess the first time they moved actually out of the house was to be part of the circle, the druid circle up the north. They got recruited in their teens, because one of the elders saw that they had really strong, like, just talent with plants and nature, and like healing people and all of that. I don't know.
I know what you mean.
And so they got drafted into the circle and did some training there. There's some politics that's going on in that situation right there. And so Jez was kind of I don't want to say just like snuck out, because it wasn't that. It was basically a story was created that one of the seers had a vision that they were going to go on a quest and had to do all this stuff to come back and be a better member of the circle.
Mm-hmm.
And they were given permission to leave because of that.
Mm-hmm.
That'll probably come up more in detail, and that's like super vague. But there will probably be more on that later when people ask about that.
Yeah, definitely. You don't have to disclose everything, as I said. It's more like finding out how they ended up like here, and like I guess we can kind of talk about what like we discussed about how Jez was recruited to the court.
Sure. I'm gonna need a little bit of help on that because I know that like there's some parts of that which you wrote for me and
yeah, so like there is a role in the courts called a wild card. And what essentially a wild card is it's a hired gun who is not really, it's like an outer circle. So whereas if you're a member of the court, you are part of like the inner circle. Everyone, this whole party is a part of the inner circle of the court. And then these wild cards are kind of like on the edges of knowing about the court. So they know kind of its existence, but it's more they believe that it's just like a natural part of the royal guard, as opposed to being like an underground kind of criminal organization that is being paid by the like. They think that essentially the laws still apply to the courts. They don't get like diplomatic immunity or anything like that. But what they're hired to do mostly is gather information. So it's kind of like being a mole, hired to gather information, and then they are paid in exchange for the information that they gather. Or if they're able to like locate somebody, or if they're able to kind of mark like a house or something, or a place that they know something is going to happen, they're paid for that information and for that like job. So that's the kind of thing that Jez was hired to do by Ace for Spades for a while, because Jez had come into town. You told me why, right? It was
yeah, for information on a particular type of crystal mining and like refining technique thing.
yes, because the area is known, like Grimoire is at the foot of the Ironforge Mountains. So the Ironforge Mountains are like the epicenter for basically precious gems and metals. There's an entire like colony of dwarves that lives in the mountains, and then they sell their minings to the town of Grimoire, and in turn Grimoire is like that source for that certain resource. Like it's really rich in minerals and precious gems and stuff like that. So like that's kind of what Grimoire is known for in the peninsula, and that's why it's kind of allowed to exist in the peninsula, because each of the four like major kingdoms that exist on this peninsula all have kind of a main export that they provide to the rest of the peninsula. So I know I just said peninsula like 3 times in a row, but yeah, that's kind of how these kingdoms work. Like after the original United Kingdom crumbled because of the attack from the Scarlet Scourge, which is the band of rogue sorcerers that attacked many years ago. After that happened and they broke apart into individual, like they're called kingdoms, but they're basically just like large cities. because they're all isolated from each other. So, yeah, essentially each kingdom provides a certain benefit to the other three. So Jez came to Grimoire because Grimoire is the center for precious gems and metals, and that is something that
Jez likes
interests
rocks.
Jez. Yeah, Jez is a rock person.
I like.
Precious.
Yeah. I don't know why I chose that. That was just something random that I was like, oh, this is fun. We're gonna do that.
Mhm.
It's all good. But yeah, so I guess they did that for a while, and then things got like dicey, and Jez was pulled out of the area that they were scouting.
Yeah, they were investigating Haven, which is the port town.
Yes. Yeah. So now they're here. Trying very, very badly trying to replace Jack in this party. Doing a very poor job of it, but you know.
Jez is not a very high level cleric. It's fine.
Jez isn't a cleric at all, my dear DM.
Yeah, exactly.
Later, I'll multi-class Jez into a cleric.
Yeah. It's okay, we have a healer, we have a bard. And a cleric! We have a cleric.
We do have
Our
a cleric.
precious Gunby.
Yeah. Liz, do you have any questions about Jez? I know I've kept them pretty close to the chest. And I'll just randomly text M like, hey, this is the thing. Is this cool if I add this to their backstory?
Yeah.
We've lost Wiz.
Yeah. Wiz, are you out there?
Earth,
No.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. That's good.
Earth to Echo, alright. Phone home, E.T.
Wiz is just being a real strong player in this stream.
Fine.
That's fine. I'll talk about Nyx.
Talk about next. Tell me about my best boy.
So, Wiz is back.
Hello.
That's good. Hi, welcome to the stream.
Oh, thanks for having me. My name's Wiz. I play Marin Marlius, the half-elf wizard.
That's good. Does Wiz have any question for Nat about Jez?
I answered this entirely, but apparently it just didn't go through.
Oh, good.
Joy.
I am very happy with the stuff being revealed as we go along as well.
Oh, I'm not gonna reveal like super big things about them, but
Oh no, I know.
so I trust you not to.
Yeah, I
like,
can't think of anything.
thing. Just forgot where it's called metagaming.
Yeah. Alright. Wiz, do you want to talk? Well, we can kind of bounce off each other when we talk about our boys, but let's talk about Marin before BN before next.
Okay. Marin is a half wood elf. And he grew up with his mother, who is human, in a teeny tiny town on the mainland. They weren't especially well off. It was a pretty poor town in total. But I think them two kind of got the short end of the stick a lot as well, because of Marin in particular. And Marin has always been an exceptionally good kid, but he's still a half elf, which in these parts,
Yeah, in this fiction, fantasy racism is still
yeah.
a player.
So in a primarily human town, this half wood elf without a father, really, was extremely looked down on. Marin and his mom were very, very, very close, but when he started to study magic a little bit, just out of books, he's been a natural born bookworm forever. Marin ultimately decided that he wasn't going to get anywhere or really be able to kind of escape this poverty loop that he and his mother were stuck in. So when he was, I think, 17?
Mm-hmm.
Is that right,
When they met?
No.
Oh.
I think 17. He decided to leave home.
Oh, yeah.
He wrote his mother a letter and left all of his money and savings behind and decided to leave. And got odd jobs, worked in taverns, cleaned a lot of dishes, for any weird that would happen, slept on a lot of streets, for about 6 months before, I don't think this specific story is anything that's going to ever come up organically either. He was thrown out of the tavern when it was found out that he was a half elf. And also on the street, in the back, was Nyx, who was around the same age and had a little bit more survival equipment than Marin did at the time. And very graciously offered Marin a little bit of help. And they've been traveling together ever since.
Mm-hmm. He was sleeping in the alley next to the dumpster.
Yep.
He wasn't like camping there, he was just kind of napping because it was out of the way. And he didn't have like, obviously he hadn't been invited to stay anywhere, so he was just kind of resting somewhere where he couldn't be seen very much because he has a tendency to involuntarily be intimidating / scary to people. He's not. So Nyx kind of, he didn't come from like a super sad upbringing. I didn't really want to go that direction with him, but his father gave him a glamour charm when he was very young because his father is a tiefling, but his father, in order to work the job that he wants, wears a very like powerful glamour charm that makes him appear like human. So his father is hiding the fact that he is a tiefling. And so when Nyx was born, his father tried to replicate the charm that he had received because he received the charm from a very powerful magic user when he was younger. And so he had no way of locating her and was too panicked about somebody finding out that he was a tiefling. So he tried to replicate the charm, and could to an extent, but it was the charges were very short-lived, and it got to a point where the glamour could only hide so much. So Nyx has a natural type skin tone and natural eye color, and is not quite as like obvious as other tieflings might be. But the older he got and the more like he grew into his features as a tiefling, like his tail wasn't being hidden by the glamour anymore, and his horns started peeking out from his hair. So his father pulled him out of like school and started to teach him at home, which wasn't very effective because his father is an apothecary. So he had a lot of clients, and he had to kind of keep Nyx sheltered away, which he was doing to protect Nyx and to protect himself. But it just kind of reached a point where Nyx realized that like this kind of life wasn't. He felt that he was a hindrance to his father, and he felt that it was stunting to himself to kind of be content with being hidden away all the time. So he left when he was young as well. He was 14. Yeah, I believe. Because there's a 3-year age difference between them.
Yeah.
So he left when he was 14, and he ran away, and his father, who obviously was kind of like really jumpy and paranoid about certain stuff, so he taught him like all about like survival safety and like what to do to avoid getting injured in the wild, and what to do if you do get injured in the wild, and all that stuff, and like what you need to stay alive, basically. So when he left with supplies to survive, but he was only like, it was only so much that he could bring with him because he was a child. So he left like a note for his dad and just kind of disappeared into the night. And he spent a lot of his time hiding in the forest or in the mountains, or kind of like dark corners of like little towns that he didn't encounter a lot of people in. And it started to kind of take a toll on him. He became really, really isolated, and that scared him, and all he wanted to do was have a companion and find somebody that could offer him friendship. And that's when he encountered a beast in the woods. Unlike anything he'd ever seen before, it was disembodied and not quite there entirely. It was like talking to a shadow, and he heard its voice in his head, but it wasn't speaking out loud. And it was that night that in kind of an act of desperation, he made a pact with this creature, just as like something to satisfy that need for somebody else to be there. And so he agreed to be the host for this beast, and that's why his hand is so charred and gnarly, because it's the beast's mark. It is the visible evidence that he has been corrupted by this beast. And at first that made it even worse. It scared him to no end, and he felt like he had become a monster in every sense of the word. And as he began to talk to the beast, because he had no one else to talk to, they learned that their goals were kind of similar. The beast didn't want... It doesn't have evil motivation. It doesn't want to destroy. It wants to create a purpose and have a purpose in life, and be able to be strong in situations that it needs to be strong. And with that, Nyx kind of found himself a little more. and knew that he wanted to come back from being this outcast, this like urchin just living on the streets. And he kind of set out to find somewhere he could make something of himself. And that's when he went into town and found Marin lying in the street. And that's kind of how he started to rise a little bit back up from rock bottom. And yeah, that's kind of Nyx's backstory before Marin.
I love him.
Yeah, I can't wait till Jez is like actually friends with Nyx. Let me tell you. We've talked about Jez and Jack's friendship. You and I. It's gonna be like that. Jez is just gonna show up someday and be like, I brought popcorn, I brought hot chocolate, I brought face masks. We're doing this right now. That's so sad.
Yeah, this is like, and this is stuff that definitely will come out more in game, but like, you can kind of see, because I don't think there's not really a reason Nyx would have gone fully into like, oh, I was like, this is how it was as a kid, and this is what my dad is like, because like, when they went to the post office, Nyx like scribbled on a postcard and sent that, and that was his correspondence with his dad. Like, his correspondence is very bare bones, because as much as he's grateful for what his dad has done, there's like a certain detachment he feels, just because it was less like being raised by a father and more like being sheltered by like a teacher, kind of. Like, he learned from his dad and he's grateful for what his dad taught him, and his dad wasn't cold or cruel to him or anything like that, but it was less of a father-son relationship and more of a mutual understanding of their situation. So I can't imagine that kind of conversation would have really ever naturally arisen in this game, because it's less like, that part of Nyx's life is not even the part that he considers like really relevant to himself anymore. He's kind of left that behind. As I said, like, he sends crude notes to his dad that's like, I'm okay, I hope you're okay, love you, Nyx. Like, that's it. It's more of like an I'm alive type note than a I miss you and here's like my life story type thing. So if they had discussed backstory, they like, Nyx will more likely than not talk about all the things that he went through with Marin, as opposed to his childhood. Because it was more of just a, I'm indifferent about it. It was pretty uneventful. Yeah. It's not a significant part of his life. Yeah. But I guess I'll say this before I kind of, do you guys have anything else you'd like to share?
I don't think so.
Then I'll pose the question to the few viewers that we have with us tonight. If anybody has any questions they want to ask me, Nat, or Wiz, you are welcome to ask. I'll wait like a minute or so.
There's a 20-second delay-ish.
Yeah, I know there's a delay, so I'll wait like a minute or so to see if anybody has anything. And if not, I'll just get us kind of started into the the actual body of the game and pick up where we left off. But I thought this was like a neat little opportunity to kind of like break down the party a little more since we have less of us here tonight.
Absolutely. I'm excited for Jez talking to the group about their family. Because it's literally just gonna be, oh, this time so-and-so did this with me. I did that, and so-and-so got in trouble for it, and then this happened, and... Fine.
Interesting. My Discord just like gave up for half a second.
You know, me too.
I guess it is storming. Here, at least.
Does that mean it's gonna come this way? Fine. Pull up the weather real quick. Because unlike the rest of the day, it's actually not raining here right now.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to put my sticks for Keyleth in the oven. Because
You mean like your
very
antlers?
wet. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Nat, you know I have like antlers that you could borrow if you want.
I might hit you up for that.
Okay. I'll send you a photo of them later.
See.
Okay, I'm going to take the resounding silence in the chat as a sign that no one really has any questions, which is totally fine. Because we did disclose a pretty good amount of information anyway, so give me 2 seconds because I'm gonna make noise because I'm gonna get an Oreo out of a bag.
That there's any more rain on the forecast. Nice. Oh, no. This really isn't fair. It's currently 80 degrees in West Lafayette, Indiana.
Yeah.
Summer, come here. Still eating Oreos. This is the time where we talk about sponsors. We don't have any sponsors. I guess we could say the three of us are gonna be at Anime next weekend, so
We are.
Yes.
We're gonna be at Anime next weekend.
Yeah, if anybody is gonna be at Anime Next in Atlantic City, New Jersey, we will be there. Not as these D&D characters, but on Friday we will be cosplaying tieflings that we have created.
I still
Mags.
makes adores horns.
Mags, Adore, and Tally. So if you see a blue tiefling, a purple tiefling, and a white tiefling walk into a bar, that's the three of us.
Yeah.
Oh, I should have gotten business cards made for Tea&D.
Oh, true.
We can write a bunch of things on pieces of paper.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
You know, like professionals.
Yeah. We can do them on, like, 3x5s that we've cut in half.
Yeah.
Alright.
Okay. Alrighty. I'm sorry. Thank you for being patient while I inhaled 3 Oreos.
I'm glad you've eaten something. Something is better than nothing.
Yes. Okay, so to recap where we left off last time, you guys fought some owlbears. 3 of them to be precise. And it started to storm worse than it has previously. And as you guys were, your night watch kind of passed by uneventfully, the only event being you watching as the storm grew worse and worse and started to behave more erratically than you'd ever seen the storm behave in the Evermore. Normally it is kind of contained to like thunder and the dark, ominous clouds that seem to be ever present when you're in the Evermore that blot out the sun, so you can't tell really what time of day it is except by the fading in and out of the light. But as you were keeping watch, all of you witnessed as lightning crawled up from the ground and met lightning from the sky in extremely loud cracks of thunder and lightning, and it's astonishing, honestly, that anybody got any kind of sleep, but you had been traveling so far all day, and it just kind of, after a while, it became white noise to most of you. But right before the final watch, in which Gunby, I think it was Gunby on the final watch, if I'm not mistaken.
It was Gunby and Peru, who was not actually there, but he was there.
Yeah. We're gonna say Peru is forever wandering the Evermore lost because he got so frightened by the increased storm that he went insane.
Oh, that's upsetting. Alright. We'll find him.
Oh, wait, what was the first bit of that?
I said we're gonna say that Peru got so spooked by the thunder that he ran into the Evermore and went insane.
Okay. Yeah.
But I, like, for the sake of not, like, derailing the campaign entirely, that's, like, a hypothetical situation. Peru just doesn't exist in the fiction anymore, and he never did. That's how I choose to DM. I'm sorry if, like, other people prefer it a different way, but, like, for the sake of the story, I don't want real-life loss of players to affect the in-game characters, you know?
For sure.
So we're going to omit Peru from the fiction. So it was just Gunby on watch, and but Gunby rolled really low, if I remember correctly, and kind of dozed off. And right before, right as Gunby kind of dozed off and what should have been morning rolled around, you guys awoke to the most deafening crack of thunder and lightning you have experienced the entire night. Right after you heard for the first time in the Evermore, the whistle of a small bird. So, I want everyone to make a Constitution saving throw.
Oh boy, we're getting right into this, huh?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Ooh, not bad for Nyx.
Ooh, nice.
Nyx got a 17.
I got a 22!
Hold on.
Very good.
Aaron failed.
Marin failed.
Hold on. Oh, that was trash. Trash garbage.
See statement number 1. Marin failed.
What's my modifier? I'm so ill prepared.
11. Okay. So, I'll disclose something here. Normally, what did Jess get?
A 22.
Okay. I'll disclose something here. Normally the saving throw for like lightning, the lightning that normally occurs in the Evermore is a 10 saving level. But for this particular one, it was 15. So, Marin, you are asleep, curled up against Nyx, or that's what you were doing when you passed out. However, you are stirred by the most pain you have ever experienced in your entire life. You are going to take 31 points of lightning damage.
Oof. Oh my god, wait, hold on. I'm unconscious.
Not only were you conscious initially, or unconscious initially, you are now unconscious again.
Marin just like wakes up and like screams and immediately goes limp.
You do that. You wake up and you scream, and Nyx leaps to his feet and grabs you, but you can't feel it because you as you open your eyes again after you collapse, you are looking down at yourself. You are being cradled by the arms of Nyx. You are watching as Jez, stirred from her sleep on the other side of Nyx, is rushing to like tend to you as much as they can. And the other members of your party are stirring and they're circling around you, and Nyx is shaking you awake, and he is yelling something down to you and you can't hear it. And as you kind of stare down at your own body, you realize you can't hear anything. There's nothing. You can't hear the lightning, you can't hear the thunder, you can't hear the screams of your teammates. You can't feel anything.
Jesus Christ.
And as you look up, you feel like this sort of pull. It's a pull that something about it feels familiar, but also completely foreign. You're not quite sure. Maybe you've felt something before similar to this, but it's so long ago that you can't remember when or how you experienced it. But it's strange. It feels like the sky is kind of calling you towards it. And as you look up, for the first time ever in the Evermore, you don't see clouds. You don't see that ever-present storm. It's calm. It is just... It's not sunny, it's not like bright or clear or anything like that, but it is just completely white. And as you feel that calling to you, you start to feel yourself lift from the ground, and you're getting farther and farther away from your teammates, and they are being they are disappearing below your feet as you are being pulled up into this white void. And if you try to scream, if you try to fight, you can't. You can't hear yourself reacting to it. Nothing feels real. You can't reach out and grab anything. You are essentially being absorbed into this blank space above the sky. And as the ground gets farther and farther beneath your feet, so far that it's just this mass of green, it's all blurring together. Everything is, it's like your vision is losing focus. And that's when you start to feel again. And at first it just kind of feels like nausea or something stirring in your stomach. And then it feels like knives, thousands of knives pulling you apart. It feels like there are tiny blades ripping at every molecule in your body. You can't scream, but you feel so much, and you've never felt this much all at once. And it feels like you feel things that feel like fear, and you feel things that feel like panic, but you feel things that also feel like anger and strength and familiarity, and something about this sensation is terrifying and invigorating all at once. And as you're pulled up into that white space, you start to lose sight of everything. And all you can focus on is that singular sensation. And then everything goes black. I'm gonna make a medicine check as Nyx. That did not go well. I rolled a 6, so that is not enough to stabilize Marin. Oh my god, Marin, please! Please wake up! Jez!
Yeah,
Do you have something?
Jez is gonna... Oh god, I still can't remember the difference between Healing Word and Cure Wounds. One of them is touch and the other... I think Healing Word is touch.
Please save him.
Yeah,
Please.
we're gonna do that.
Nyx is trembling. It almost looks like he's hurting Marin by how tightly he's holding him. There's tiny, like, droplets of blood underneath his monster hand, but he is shaking violently, and you can see the tears pooling up in his eyes as he clutches his best friend and begins to panic.
Nyx, stop! You're hurting him. Give me back up. And they kind of like push him a little bit away or like to the side, so they can get.
As you do that, you hear this deep snarl kind of come from his throat as he pulls Marin closer to him again.
Jez turns, and even though they're kind of already on the ground, they put their hands on their hips and like frown in their direction, and it's just like, you want me to heal them or no? I've already rolled this dice, and I'm fairly sure it'll do what it's supposed to do, so.
Okay. He glares at you for a couple seconds. And you see, as you're looking at, I assume you're making eye contact with him.
Yeah.
You see for like a second this flash of something you've never seen before in your life. It's unrecognizable, but it can only be described as something similar to like an animal skull that you've seen before, but the eyes of it are red and feral, and it has antlers growing out from either side of its head, and its mouth is kind of dripping with something dark you can't quite discern what it is, and you see that for half a second
Mhm.
before Nyx looks down at Marin, and you kind of see droplets of moisture hit Marin's face before he kind of loosens his grip a little and offers Marin to you.
Okay. So yeah, the cast wounds, which I just looked up and is the one that is the touch spell. And I rolled for that, and that was a 15 naturally. I can never remember what I'm supposed to add to spells. Maybe it's my wisdom modifier?
Yeah, but what are you casting? Cure Wounds?
Yeah, cure wounds.
Okay, let me double check something.
Okay.
Whoops,
Some
that's
spells
wrong.
don't have anything that you add to them.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Cure Wounds.
You don't have to
Okay.
really do anything for it. You literally just touch them and cast it.
Okay.
So you're expending that spell slot.
It's fine.
But that means that you roll 1d8 and then you add your spellcasting modifier. So whatever the druid spellcasting modifier is.
Which
Do you
is
know what that is?
Yeah.
Wisdom.
Yeah. It's gonna be a +3 for this.
So we'll roll a 1d8.
Okay. 7, 3, 10 points?
10 points? Okay. So you cast this on Marin, and Marin, you jerk awake from that nothingness with that feeling of warmth. It's completely different than the sensation you were feeling before. This is the feeling of Jez's magic repairing the damage done to your body from the bolt of lightning that struck you directly. Not just from the sky, but from the ground as well. They met at your body and shattered you. But now you are awake, and you are staring up at the face of Jezebel, who just healed you, and Nyx, who sees you open your eyes and makes a noise that can only be described as a broken sigh of relief as he pulls you into a crushing hug, which, admittedly, despite Jez's healing, hurts a lot on your still kind of simmering flesh.
Jez is just kind of sitting, holding your hand. Aaron.
Okay.
Nyx needs his moment.
Oh. I squeeze Jez's hand really tightly. Probably a couple times, and then I let go. And I just grab Nyx's face.
Here, I thought, here, Mary, I thought you were gone.
Nope. Nope, not yet. I just hug him.
He looks like he's searching for something to say, but he can't find the words, and he just hugs you back. And it still hurts a little, but you're hugging him and he's hugging you, and it's familiar and comfortable again. And he kind of holds you very tightly as if he's afraid to let go of you, as if he's afraid that you'll shatter in his arms if he loosens his grip. But after what feels like at least like a few minutes solid of just sitting there with his arms around you, he loosens his grip and kind of he begins to look you over and examine your wounds. And his voice is like, I can't physically really do it, but because he already has that kind of gravelly voice, but it is like hoarse, and you can tell that he is very much suppressing the tears that are still leaking down his face, no matter, despite his best effort. And he just kind of turns over your arm in his hand very, very delicately. He's not touching you with the beast hand. And for the first time, Marin, you look at yourself, and your clothes have been completely torn apart. Like, they're still kind of strapped to your body from the leather straps that you had around you in a harness, but that is just holding scraps of cloth to your body at this point. It looks like something came at you like a sword, and it smells awful. You smell like burnt flesh, and you know exactly why as you look down at your own hands and your arms and your legs and realize that there are just wounds that have practically cauterized themselves from the impact, just festering on your flesh, your skin completely black from the impact. And up and down your arms, you have these jagged lines that are... It almost looks like it's a series of veins, but it's not, because veins wouldn't grow like that up your arms. They wouldn't work like that. And this is a dark, almost black coloration on your skin, and you can kind of tell by looking at them, they're not going to go away. These are going to be on you for the rest of your life. But you're alive. Okay. You're casting at second level? Okay.
$14.
Oh, sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
Jez,
All's
you
back to Max.
Jez, you cast the spell again, and Marin, you watch as the pain you didn't really realize you were feeling because adrenaline was just shooting through your body trying to numb the pain for you. It kind of fades as you watch as the open wounds that were festering with burnt flesh begin to close. And you feel better, much better than you did when you woke up, and much better than you did when you were struck. But the black marks up your arms still remain, crawling up you like poison's been injected in your body.
Can I cast Detect Magic on myself?
On yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So you see next to you, well, I guess is it specifically on your shelf or is it just like
No,
the
it's like a
field?
yes.
Okay,
I'm
okay, that's what I
looking
thought.
at myself, but
You
it's
are
like,
looking at yourself. Okay,
yeah.
so next to you, you see kind of like the crushed, not like destroyed, but like you kind of sat on the map. And that's glowing faintly. You see like your equipment is glowing, your wand, and like maybe you don't have potions on you, but whatever you have on you that is a magical object, like that is glowing faintly. And yeah, you are also glowing with a faint outline, which doesn't strike you as unusual. You are a wizard who possesses magical abilities.
Did I glow before?
Yeah, you would have glowed before. You are a wizard.
Okay.
You are magical. And you have are capable of, I guess, like, this is, I guess, house rules that I'm creating for what glows with detect magic a little. But I would say that anything that is a magical being would also glow. And you are a magical being.
Okay. Even though I'm like a wizard?
Well, I guess your magic comes from your
Learning.
studies. So, yeah, you're glowing, but I guess you wouldn't have glowed before.
Okay. Alright.
Is this the first time Marin's ever cast Detect Magic on himself, though?
Well, I suppose not, because, like, he has cast Detect Magic, and it's a radius, so
Yeah.
he, by nature, whenever he casts Detect Magic, is casting Detect Magic on himself.
Okay.
Because it's a radius around him.
Okay, then he has never glowed before, and now he is.
Okay. Okay.
Roll an Arcana check real quick.
Yeah. Hold on. Arcana?
Mhm.
19.
Okay, since magic, like physically magical beings, like don't work the same way that magical imbued objects do. You know how, like, normally when you cast Detect Magic, the only thing you learn from that really is what is magical and what school of magic they come from.
Yeah.
It's not as clear with magical beings. But you know that because you are glowing, the only types of beings that would glow are not wizards. It would either be a warlock or a sorcerer.
Okay.
And I think with a 19, Marin is smart enough to deduce that he did not recently make a pact with anybody, to his knowledge. And I will say also, as the DM, he did not make a pact with anybody. That's not what that was. So he might be able to deduce that something has now caused him to be innately gifted with magic.
Okay.
but he doesn't know what kind of magic it is, and he has no idea how he would, like, what he's capable of.
Yeah. Okay.
Nick says he is examining you, kind of. You see him. Well, he looks up at Jez momentarily, and he kind of looks hesitant for a second. Then Jez, he reaches out, and with the arm that he's not using to still kind of cradle Marin near him, he reaches out and he gives you like a half hug.
Aw. Jez hugs back, like hugely hugs back, and probably drags Marin into it. Yeah, no, we're doing this. We're doing this. It's just a big hug.
Yeah, big group hug. Marin's hugging too.
Nyx kind of like turns his head closer to like your ear, Jez, and you just hear him kind of mumble, "Thank you."
That's what friends do.
Yeah. You guys stay like that for a few seconds, not nearly as long as Nyx initially hugged Marin. But he pulls away, and Marin, he hasn't. Normally, you're used to when Nyx shows this kind of intimacy, this kind of closeness, especially with touch, he withdraws after realizing that he is still touching Marin, but he doesn't withdraw. Instead, he kind of picks up or takes Marin's hand in his and very, very carefully moves his hand from Marin's back to his arm, and now he's tracing the markings with his beast hand very, very lightly. You barely feel his touch because you see, make an insight check with advantage.
Advantage, because I know my best friend. Insight?
Mm-hmm.
23.
Okay, yeah. You like barely feel his fingers grazing your skin, and as you kind of look at him closely, you can see his entire body trembling. And you have, in all your time knowing Nyx and all the things that you guys have been through, whether it was getting yelled at by local like people who are chasing you out of town, or harassed by audience members, or physically thrown out of places, or having things thrown at you, no matter what the hardship you have been through, you have never seen this look on Nyx's face before. He looks absolutely devastated as he traces these markings on your arm.
Welcome to the episode where Wiz just sighs a lot.
Do they hurt?
I don't know, do they hurt?
You... If I used them, you would have points of exhaustion right now. Like, you would feel, even though you just, like, woke up, you would feel very worn out from the
I
physical
will happily
toll.
take a point of exhaustion if you want to give me one.
I mean, yeah, you can take a point of exhaustion.
All right.
I don't really like the function, I guess. You know, I've never used it in games, so I'm not super clear on the function. But essentially, the result of this is like, even though you just like slept most of the night, the toll that this took on your body physically, though you have healed like your external wounds and like your bones have kind of been like repaired by the magic of Jez's wound care. Because like when I say shattered, I don't mean like physically, like your skeleton in your body did not like be liquefied or anything like that, you know, but you like, had you not been in the presence of a magic healer, you would not have been able to recover from this type of injury.
Yeah.
But so it's less of the pain from the wounds being inflicted anymore, and now it's more like
my system got shocked.
Yeah, exactly. The like adrenaline is wearing off, and now you feel like all the soreness and like the exertion that this injury, this impact had on your body, it's like rushing forward, and you just feel completely worn out. And so the markings themselves do not hurt, but they are raised and kind of fresh. So if he were to put pressure on it, it would most likely cause you some discomfort. But he's not. He's literally like barely tracing your skin.
No, I'm fine.
I'd hardly say fine is a word that's applicable here.
Sorry, what was that? I hate Discord.
I'd hardly say fine is a word that could be applicable here.
Yeah, this is a little bit more than, you know, I fell and scraped my knee. But
Yeah.
Nah. I've had
yeah.
words with
No,
Raining.
you haven't, Marin.
I cover his mouth.
Just kind of snorts and then gets up and like brushes off their pants and yeah, if that helps you sleep at night, and kind of like walks away just a little bit to wherever we had set up camp and is gonna make breakfast because what the fuck, why not?
Okay. Marin, you have your hand over Nick's mouth, and he's kind of like... The look he's giving you right now is a mixture of that same, like, worry that has been mixed into his expression this whole time, and also frustration at you for taking this so lightly.
I'm not super looking at him at the moment.
Okay. He kind of looks at you for a few more seconds before his expression kind of wavers for a second, and I guess you don't really notice because you're averting your eyes, but his expression softens, and Marin, you definitely feel it when he raises his hand to your hand and presses a light kiss to Marin's palm. before he stands up and kind of extends a hand to you to see if you're able to stand up. Which you are, as a DM,
Yeah.
I will say. You are, like, you're healed enough. Again, you are just kind of in the point of, like, very sore and tired.
Yeah, I take both of... I put both of my hands on his hand to, like, not just haul myself up from one side, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
How much of me is torn to shit, clothing-wise?
Like, your boots are fine because they're made of, like, a leather material, and all the straps that you've had that are leather have resisted it, like, fairly well. Like, there's some singe marks on it, but that could probably be cleaned up. But the cloth part of your clothing is, like, absolutely annihilated. There's just, like, scraps of it hanging off of you. So when you stand up, Nyx kind of realizes the state you're in, and he, like, sighs a little bit. He, like, furrows his brows and sighs a little bit, and then he goes and reaches down for your packs that are lying a bit scattered from when he jumped awake and kind of, like, flung everything away from you to try and get to your body. And he picks up the giant coat that you have and slings it over you. You notice that your coat, because you fell asleep in it, also has, like, a few markings on it, but
God damn it!
in your sleep in your sleep you actually kicked it away off of your body because Nyx was hot enough in the night that, like, you kind of did that thing where you know when you get hot and you're under covers and you, like, kick off your covers. Yeah, so he was keeping you warm enough that you kind of, like, kicked it away, but it was still within your vicinity when you were struck. So it took, like, very minor damage, but and is still intact, but yeah, there's a little bit of scorch marks on it. But he drapes that over your body to kind of cover up all of your exposed flesh.
Great. I just bought these clothes 3 days ago.
Nyx, despite himself, kind of, like, muffles a snort. Like, he like, half laughs and then, like, coughs to try to cover it up. And he just kind of shakes his head and, like, puts his hand on your head, like his beast hand, and he, like, pats your head. He's like, "You're impossible." And he kind of, like, smiles affectionately at you for a second before turning away and going to kind of collect all of the things that he threw throughout the clearing. Marin, if you look down from where you were just laying, there is a divot in the ground where your body was, and it's just like there is a kind of ring of scorch marks from where the lightning struck and a crack in the ground.
Mary just kind of looks at it for a while. And then, like, turns away and goes back to his bag, and I'm just gonna rummage through to fucking pull out my old set of clothes.
So glad Marin brought 2 sets of clothes and a giant coat, and that's all that could fit in his bag.
Literally. He has nothing else to bring.
That's true. He sent, like, all of his money to his mom.
Yep. Yep.
Alright, so does he just, like, get changed?
Yeah, he just gets changed. Back.
Okay, I imagine him like just like fucking sitting down in this giant poncho and his head just disappears into it like a tent. And then he like
That's probably
reemerges.
literally what he does.
Yeah, he like reemerges fully dressed. Oh my god. And Nyx kind of rejoins with Peter and Gunby, who are huddled around. They've like Jez, they kind of helped you build a fire.
Nice.
And let's see. Oh, so Marin, your old clothes have like sleeves, right? Oh no, they don't. Oh, Wiz is muted. I don't know whether intentional or not. Probably intentional though. I don't think Marin's old clothes have sleeves. I think they're short sleeved. But yeah, Jez, so Peter and Gubby have kind of helped you build this fire and you're cooking over it. What?
I love talking while I'm muted. Both his new outfit, his new outfit has like half sleeves, but his old one had like a short sleeve T-shirt.
Okay.
That was part of like the harness that he wore.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you're
Except he probably
marking-
isn't wearing that. He's probably just wearing the shirt.
Okay.
That now.
So did he take off the leather harness thing?
Yeah, he's just going with his old
Okay.
shirt.
Okay. Nyx, after a couple seconds of like rolling up his bedroll and kind of reassembling everything that he unpacked to sleep in, he walks over to you, Jez, and joins you by the fire for whatever it is you're cooking. Did you like gather berries and mushrooms? Did
Yeah.
you like okay.
Probably. It's like mushrooms, and then whatever stuff is in 1 day's worth of rations. I don't know.
Yeah. What kind of pack do you have on you?
I have an explorer's pack.
Okay. Let me see what's in that real fast.
I don't even remember.
Okay.
Probably double check
Rope,
that,
rations,
huh?
torches, mess kit. Okay, you have a mess kit. That's all that matters.
Okay.
Because that has a cooking pan and stuff.
Nice! I didn't know I was prepared, but I guess I'm prepared.
Yeah, so he kind of sits down from you and his expression is pretty unreadable. He just kind of stares in the fire, watching you sizzle up some shrooms and berries.
I kind of like glance up initially when he comes over, and then go back to doing whatever, and then I guess after there's some silence. They just kind of I find that talking about whatever you're thinking generally helps things work out. I'm good at listening. Come on.
He stares into the fire for a few more seconds, and you might think he either didn't hear you, or because his mind was elsewhere, or he's not going to respond. But after a few seconds, he kind of like looks down at his hands, and you can see that on his hands is a little bit of blood left over from when he was cradling Marin. And he just kind of stares at it as he mutters in a very quiet voice. I am thinking I almost lost the most important person in the world to me today. And I couldn't do anything about it.
Why you have friends? You don't have to be good at everything.
Yeah, but it was Marin and I and no one else for so long, and I guess I can't help but think about if this had happened in any other circumstance, or even if it happened in the future and for some reason we weren't all together. I am pretty damn useless.
I don't think that's right. You've been very helpful in our battles. You're strong. I'm not strong. And they kind of like laugh and wave the spatula a little bit, and they're just like, I'm a little bit squishy.
I want you to know that like Nyx knows that you're trying to cheer him up, but right now, like, your kind of playful antics like aren't having really the effect you want on him. He doesn't really even attempt to kind of smile to acknowledge you. You're teasing.
Mm-hmm.
And he just like clasps his hands together and rests his head on them and takes a few deep breaths and kind of like settles back into this quiet state. And he just kind of sighs. It's like, I guess you're right. The only thing I'm capable of is inflicting pain on... Oh, that cut off, I think. Is inflicting pain on other people and things. I guess that's something.
I mean, if that's how you want to see it, it's and they kind of, I don't know. I don't think mushrooms take that long to cook. It's been a while.
Not at all.
It's been a while, so I guess the mushrooms are done by this point. So they take those off and they kind of set them to the side, and come around to where Nyx is, and like, oh, this is gonna be forward, but here we go. Like, grab him by the chin and like pull him up so they have eye contact. It's not like rough or anything, but
yeah,
they have cold fingers. And just like
he
waits.
has warm skin.
It just waits until Nyx is looking at him. This is all a matter of perspective. But you see as just senseless violence, I see as protection. You've been critical in being Marin safe up until this point. What is to say that until then, in the future, you are not going to Oh my god, let me rethink that statement because I didn't finish it. There's nothing saying that in the future you are not going to continue protecting him. You've been together this long and come out mostly unscathed.
I appreciate it, Jez, but kind of no way around it. I definitely failed at kind of the only thing I was supposed to do, which was protect my best friend. So,
if this is how you see it, I can't change your mind. Just tell you how I see it as me myself on the outside. You don't have to be able to do everything. You have to have the resources to not be good at everything. I'm here for a reason.
yeah.
Gunby's here for a reason.
He kind of like cuts you off a little, and he like takes your hand, and it's gentle, but he like pulls it away from his face. And he like offers you a weak smile, but it doesn't reach his eyes. And he kind of is like, yeah, I am very, very grateful to have everyone here now. I'm happy to know that Marin has this now, because he definitely deserves more than just me as protection.
I have this now too. You know that, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm grateful for that too. He just kind of trails off and picks up like one of the mushrooms in the pot and like holds it in his fingers and just kind of sighs and stands up, and he's like, I think I'm gonna like patrol the area a little bit. I'll get some like firewood, I guess. And he doesn't really wait for you to respond before walking away, and he kind of like he's not straying really far. And actually, let me see something real quick. Damn. He doesn't really have like anything really. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, no, he just kind of walks away, and he doesn't stray far. You can still kind of see where he is. But he just kind of paces away and walks into the surrounding shrubs to patrol around and pick up firewood.
Does kind of watches him, make sure he's not going too far, and when he figures that he's within shouting distance, still picks the pot up again and goes over to Marin, because Marin needs food. Gotta feed my boys.
Wiz, you are muted. I don't know if you know that.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Oh, thank you, Jez.
Nothing fancy.
I overheard like half of that.
I mean, campsite's not that big. I'm not surprised. What are your thoughts on that?
I hate worrying him. I don't know. He kind of like looks at his hands. I want to get to the circus.
Things be better when we get to the circus.
What was that?
Does us getting to the circus make things better, though?
Maybe not, but at least we'll be out of here faster. And then we'll be finished faster.
I don't think that Nyx will hear what I had to say from anybody but you.
I'll talk to him. Not right now. He needs to cool off first. But I'll talk to him.
Alright. And they kind of... I don't know if you have a plate, Marin, but they give you some of their mushrooms. And...
He has a plate now.
He has a plate now! And... yeah. Just kind of leaves it as it is, because things will work themselves out. They just kind of go back and they put the pot back on the fire so it stays warm. And eat some mushrooms themselves, because mushrooms are good.
Yeah, Marin fucking scarfs down those mushrooms.
Pretty much.
Yeah, Marin, you feel like not like better significantly at all, but it feels good to have like food in your body again. Yeah. It invigorates a little bit of your energy again.
Mm-hmm.
Not much though, because it's just like wild mushrooms, but you know.
Mushrooms are very good for the body, okay?
It's much better than nothing.
Yeah. It is very much better than nothing. And Marin, you feel a little bit more like your usual self after eating a meal, especially since it's nice and hot and cooked by Jez.
That means it's cooked with extra love.
God. Oh, goodness. So you guys eat your mushrooms. Nyx kind of... He goes and he stares up at the sky, and the sky has returned to the usual level of cloudy storminess that it is. Like, it's not as violent as it was the prior night at all. It's just that kind of ever-present rumbling threat of a storm, but it's not actually storming. He doesn't partake in the mushroom eating. He has no appetite. As he just kind of... He comes back about 10 minutes later, so as not to worry the group. He hasn't wandered off or anything, but he does return empty-handed because he kind of forgot that he had made the excuse that he was going to collect firewood. So he just kind of slinks back to the group clearing and walks up to you, Jez, and he's like, do you need help cleaning up or anything?
Kind of wave him away a little bit. I got this. This is easy.
Okay. I'm thinking maybe it wasn't really anything in particular, but like, you know, this place makes me uneasy, and I'm thinking maybe we should get moving as soon as possible.
Those are my thoughts exactly.
He jumps a little when you speak up. Before, like, kind of rubbing his neck with embarrassment because he doesn't really know why he's being jumpy. But he doesn't really look at you directly, Marin, and he's like, yeah, so I'm gonna grab... Oh, shit. And as he looks around, he notices that the horses have completely disappeared.
Well,
Fuck.
More than likely sped off into the night when the large bolt of lightning struck feet away from them.
whoops.
God damn it.
Well,
Okay. That makes things a little bit more complicated.
I guess
Can I try my necklace again?
Yeah, you want to try to contact Ace?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can try your necklace. I almost said Netflix.
Call Ace?
The necklace kind of flickers a little bit, and you hear that usual kind of warpy static sound that you normally hear. But it doesn't take long before it flickers out again, and you are unable to reach anybody. Make a perception check. I'm also gonna, like, Jez, you too. I'm gonna make one too.
Oh, okay.
Natural 20!
I'm glad, because I got 9.
Well, I got a 12.
Okay. It doesn't really matter, because Marin, you notice it, obviously, like, right away. As the static kind of dies out again, you hear something that almost, like, triggers a frightened, like it almost scares you to hear it again, because it's the noise you heard right before you were struck by lightning. But you hear the twitter of a bird. And as you look up, you swiftly find the source of this noise, and there is a bright yellow canary kind of perched on a low branch, kind of like tilting its head back and forth at you and looking at you, and it makes a twittering noise again. And you see, because you rolled a nat 20, you are able to notice that it also has a little tiny, it's like a necklace, and it has you recognize it from the post office. It's what a carrier pigeon usually has around its neck.
Oh.
That delivers messages in very small quantity.
Okay. Is it in reach? Can I walk over towards it?
It's actually kind of up on, like, the trees in the Evermore are very tall. There's not a lot of low-hanging branches, so the bird is about like a foot and a half out of your reach. It's kind of perched on a low branch, but
Okay.
So you can make an animal handling check if you want to try to call it to you.
Yeah, I just want to like whistle a little and hold like my hand out.
Mm-hmm. Make an animal handling check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, not awful. 16.
Okay. So you approach the bird, and as you do, it kind of like ruffles its wings a little bit. But luckily it doesn't fly away when you approach it. Instead, after you whistle a little bit and kind of extend your hand towards it, it jumps on your finger and you are now able to reach it because it is perched on your finger.
Okay, can I take the note?
Yeah, so you unfasten the little like tube that is attached to the neck of this bird, and there is a note in it. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna mute myself and like type, well, like transfer information real quick. So give me 2 seconds. I don't know, Jez, if you want to interact with this situation at all. They're all just kind of standing around each other, Nyx, Marin, and Jez. As well as the implied Peter and Gunby.
Probably not. It's got a job to do. I don't wanna.
Jez,
Yeah.
come here.
Okay. And I guess
Hold
I
your-
guess they come closer to Merritt.
Here, hold your hand out.
And they put their hand out, like palm up.
No. Turn it sideways, like I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah, they do what you're doing, Marin.
Marion like puts his hand that's holding the bird like against Jez's hand to like get the bird to scoot onto Jez's hand.
Jez looks thrilled to pieces. To have a tiny bird on their hand.
It's a little yellow canary.
Is
Now
it?
Marion can read.
Yeah. They just kind of like stand there and fluff its little neck feathers. Because that's what you do with birds. And they're just kind of like talking to the bird and saying that they're doing a very good job and they look really nice and they're super proud of them for coming out into the Evermore.
I'm sorry, did you ask a question?
No,
Oh, okay.
I was just saying that Jez is talking very nicely to this bird.
Yeah, Jez is, the bird is talking back to you? Like, you're having a nice little conversation with this bird? Because, I don't know if you remember this, but druids can understand small creatures.
Oh shit, I didn't remember that. I'm so sorry, I forget all sorts of things.
It's just kind of saying things like, seed? Seed?
I guess with their other hand, not Marin. I'm not playing Marin. I'm playing Jezebel. Jez is like fiddling through the little box pouch thing that they keep their herbalism stuff in. And trying to see if they have like sunflower seeds or like something like that in there. I don't know if there would be seeds of some variety, because I know seeds are good for healing things. So I will defer to your judgment, DM. Are there seeds in my pocket?
Yes, I would say Jez, like, I mean, didn't Jez eat something that was like peanuts or something at the breakfast table? Didn't they have some kind of nut?
No, they ate like 7 spoonfuls of peanut butter.
Yeah, okay.
Because they were told they needed protein in their diet.
Right. Cause is Jez sorry, is Jez like vegetarian?
I don't, so I'll be quite honest, I'm not vegetarian, so I don't know what goes into exactly being vegetarian, but they don't eat, like, a lot of meat.
Yeah, so, I mean, vegetarian is literally just not eating.
Okay,
Pescatarian is eating fish, but no other kinds of meat.
Okay, then I guess they're pescatarian?
Pescatarian. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not to say that they, like, haven't eaten actual meat before, because I imagine they probably have if the winter is super, super bad or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not part of their main diet and something they prefer not to eat.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So I guess if there's seeds, they're giving the seeds to the bird, so they have a bird in one hand and seeds in the other.
Marin is now reading the note.
Wish in one hand, spit in the other.
Yeah,
okay, I will send
Marin
a note.
Unravel it.
Okay. Nyx is kind of on-looking curiously at this, like, interaction, but he ultimately, like, goes over, to you, Jez, and, like, he tries to kind of approach to look at the bird and admire it, but as he approaches, the bird kind of, like, fluffs up and twitters nervously, and you hear him go, and you hear the bird say, like, scary beast.
Can I respond, or is it just like I just understand it? Probably Google this myself. Sorry.
Yeah, Google it while I type this thing for Wiz.
Okay, now is the time when I look something up.
Okay, sorry, I have it now. I'm gonna DM you with...
Lovely.
And... yeah, there you go. Okay. So, you are now, so, while Marin reads that note, yeah, Jez, did you discover whether or not you can speak back to the bird?
From what I can tell, it's only with the speak with animals stuff.
Okay. Well, that is, like, you would use that spell if you wanted to, like, speak bird? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you wanted to Twitter back at this bird, you could, but, you know, just kind of talking common to the bird. Like, this bird has been around people, obviously it is a messenger, is being used as a messenger bird.
I guess it's so I
It
guess
has a basic understanding.
they kind of like hold the bird slightly to their side so their body is blocking it, and like hold out the hand that has the seeds in it out to Nyx, and just kind of like gesture him over, and then assuming he comes over, just like drops the seeds into his palm, and then like grabs his wrist gently, and just is kind of like, no, he's okay. No.
Jez, I don't.
Shh. I just kind of like slowly is like pulling Nyx's hand closer so it's like at the point to meet theirs.
Mm-hmm.
But like so so Nyx is still standing kind of off to the side of them.
Mm-hmm.
And just like talking very calmingly to the bird, like he's cool. He can do a cool plant thing, and he protects his friends when he needs to. You know, all that kind of. He's just like talking about Nyx to the bird.
Nyx is kind of like, he looks very awkward. Like he kind of looks tense, not in like a panicky way, but kind of in like a I'm uncomfortable with the situation way, and I don't think this bird likes me very much. But let me make an animal handling check. Yeah, I'm just gonna make a standard animal handling check. Like, normally if you urging, like normally with your encouragement, I would like grant advantage to the check, but because Nyx looks the way he does and he is like naturally intimidating, it's gonna kind of balance it out. So he's just gonna make a normal animal handling roll.
Okay.
That's an 11. Okay, so as Nyx just kind of holds his hand out there with the seed in it, the bird, after like a few seconds, you hear the transition from scary to seed. Seed? And it doesn't leave your hand, Jez, but it kind of leans and like stretches its neck out a little, and after like doing some like fake out pecks, picks up a seed from Nyx's hand, and you see like Nyx this whole time has looked kind of down, but he kind of like perks up a little at this interaction, and like you hear like the smallest gasp escape him. But then he kind of, like, with excitement, like, juts his hand closer to the bird, and the bird flutters and flies upwards and lands on a nearby branch again. That was dumb. Sorry, Jez. I didn't mean to scare it away from you, too.
It's okay. It's a bird from the post office. They're a little bit dumb anyway, aren't they? I don't know much about post office birds.
I don't... if he's from the post office, he's not from Grimoire's post office.
Oh?
Yeah, no, they use, normal messenger pigeons. So, like, pigeons. And ponies. And that's pretty much it exclusively. I've never seen a bird like this used as a messenger bird.
Oh.
Marin finishes reading the note.
Mm-hmm.
And like frowns for a second and folds it back up. and sticks it in his pocket, and then goes over to his bag. And
Nyx
looks
kind of
around.
watches you do this and like raises an eyebrow. Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say I have it. I pulled the glass out of my bag.
Yeah.
Hmm?
I just hold it
Okay.
up.
What?
I
are
hold
you
it up to
doing?
the bird first.
You hold up to the bird?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I said that in Nick's voice. You hold up to the bird. Okay, you don't... As you look through the glass at the bird, it just, like... As you look at the bird, it just looks like a kind of... It looks like a crow.
Okay. I just slowly start like shifting around to look at the area through it.
So what normally is like a kind of wild, overgrown environment around you. The trees are all dead looking and gnarled with just like leaves at the top of them, but at the bottom they kind of become sparse and gnarly and they twist together, and obviously all the growth is kind of untamed and wild. As you kind of gaze around through the glass, that actually looks, first of all, the color is much more saturated because it is bright through this looking glass. You can see, like, there's no, if you look at the sky, there's no cloud coverage. It becomes blue with puffy white clouds barely blocking out enough of the sky. Definitely not blocking out enough of the sky to obscure the sunlight that is pouring down. And it just kind of looks like a very tame forest. Like, it looks peaceful, like a meadow or something that you would have walked through in a more ordinary area, one that hasn't been overgrown because of unexplained magic. But that's about all you can see through the looking glass as you gaze around.
I don't see any like path or anything.
No.
Alright.
Not particular.
Alright.
Yeah.
Gather your things, we're
Lord.
gonna follow that canary.
Okay.
I guess.
Nyx picks up his bag and like slings it over his back.
It just takes the time to like to put out the fire and pack up all their stuff, and then he's just kind of watching Marin expectantly.
Marin, why are we following the bird now? What did the note say?
It was just from some smart investments.
Okay. That's pretty
That's
vague.
shady. Marin,
Like, I don't...
I'll
Marin,
explain later.
you know I trust you, but you just got fucking struck by lightning, and now you're telling us to follow a bird, and I'm just not entirely sure if you're thinking clearly right now.
It was from Calliope.
Who's Calliope?
I don't remember who that is.
The shitty elf that
Oh, yeah, I remember him.
yeah, that one.
Why did he write you a letter? Oh, he was like, yeah, he was a, like, singer, but he also did, like, aerial stunts for like the circus. He was like a performer.
He was quite good.
He sounds lovely. I'd like to meet him.
I mean, yeah, I guess.
But what he said has my interest piqued, more than just helping us. So I would like to get going, if we could.
You say to follow the break?
Not exactly. I hand the glass to Nyx.
He takes it. He kind of looks at you quizzically, and he's like, "Okay, so this thing, yes. He wrote you about this?
Yes.
Well, what did he say, Mirren? Like, can you be a
He
little?"
said to use the glass, and that's about it. He's a fucking shitty elf. That's like all I'm getting out of him, really. So
Can I see the note?
sure.
Okay. Nyx takes the note and kind of glances over it, and he looks like his eyebrows kind of knit together, and he hands it back to you, and he's like, what part of this makes you think we have to follow that bird?
Well, Nyx, my best friend, the bird is from the circus. And, like all carrier pigeons, once they deliver a letter, they tend to go back home.
Oh, I guess that's true. Okay, we can do that then, I guess. Hopefully we can do it effectively. It's a tiny bird, big forest. Marin, I trust you, and I guess I trust this elf guy.
This is all we have right now.
Yeah, it's just like...
Nyx, I can't go another day wandering around this fucking forest.
Okay.
Unless one of you have another idea.
Well, here, Marin, you should show Jez the note. And everyone else.
Marin makes a stink face.
I don't want to pry. I trust you both.
Nyx kind of looks at Marin's stink face and gives him kind of a bored expression and pinches his cheek a little with his beast hand.
Ow!
Don't be stubborn.
I take the note and then I reread it. And then I hand it to Jez.
Okay. Here, I'm just gonna post it in the public chat because essentially the note's getting passed around now.
Nice.
And I'm going to read it for the chat. The note says, you're wasteful with words. I said to know what you want. You have to ask the right questions. I won't have time to explain everything, but you have to find your way first. Without an invitation, you'll need to cheat. Peek at your opponent's hand. Or, in simple terms, for your simple brain, use the looking glass. It'll help little lost boys find their way back to Neverland. Hurry. See.
This is nothing about a bird. But...
That is what I said! It doesn't say anything about a bird, but the bird delivered me the letter, and if the bird delivered me the letter, then the bird will go home.
Baron
smacked with his hands over his face.
Baron. This
Jug.
might be dumb. Where did you get the map?
Ace gave it to us?
Uh,
Oh, wait, hold on. I snatched the glass back from... Fuck. I snatched the glass
From
back
Nyx.
from Nyx really aggressively, and then I, like, reach into my pockets and, like, rip the fucking map out. And I used the map and I used the glass.
As you look at the map,
I hate this fucking forest.
Nyx looks like bewildered, and he's like, Marin, what the fuck are you doing? And as he kind of says this, you're looking at the map, and the red line is still there as you gaze at it through the glass, but there's also a bright white line that leads directly to a marked location.
I look up and I look at the sun to figure out what direction we are in, and then I start walking.
Marin, what are we?
We're
Are
going.
we following the bird? What is happening?
No, we're not following the bird anymore.
Marin, I'm really worried about you. Can you please come here and talk in like complete coherent thoughts? Are you okay?
I figured it out. I figured out this forsaken forest puzzle.
Can I don't know. I feel like this would probably be Animal Ham and whoa.
Wow.
Can I try and call the bird?
Yeah, you can call the bird.
Okay. Yeah, just seeing that Marin is leaving and probably Nyx is just like tottering along after him.
Yeah, Nyx is desperately like kind of chasing after Marin and looking very.
Just starts moving after them, but like looks over their shoulder and is like, "Come on, we're going. Come on." Stop! Stop!
Yeah, roll animal handling. Roll animal handling.
Y'all suck. It's not great.
My favorite abilities.
It's a 9! Guys, it's not that great. It's a 9.
You try to call the bird towards you, but seeing that you are running off, the bird kind of twitters and goes, goodbye, and then flutters upwards and then just like disappears through the canopy of the trees.
Aww. I guess does just kind of moves along after the party.
Okay. I'm going to end the session there.
Well, you're welcome, my dear. You were gonna follow a fucking bird.
Oh my god. As you guys storm off into the woods, chasing after Marin, who is plowing through brush like it's his fucking job. And yeah, that is where we're going to end the session. You solved my forest puzzle.
It only took a literal hint. A literal in-game hint. Bitch, I wrote you a long-ass letter, and this is how you reply to me.
See statement number 1. You're wasteful with words.
No, I'm so bad. He's such an asshole.
Marin wrote like a 3-paragraph letter to Cal. And Cal responded with a tiny rolled up piece of paper attached to a bird. Like a fortune cookie.
Oh boy.
He's gonna have some words.
Yeah, so that is this week's session. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I hope my players enjoyed it. I hope their viewers enjoyed it. I know I enjoyed it. Thank you for bearing with us when it's just like the three of us, kind of. It's like a bottle episode, kind of.
We just were at the campsite for the whole game.
Yeah, but you know, it's fine, because you solved puzzles, and also, like, had a near-death experience.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah,
I will take
things
one
happen.
near-death experience over the possibility of 3 of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
How many hit
Yeah.
points does Jez have?
It's me, 42.
Jesus. Alright, yeah, so I was the only one that could have been one-shotted.
I have 38. So I
Yeah.
also would have lived. I lived, bitch. Anyway, thank you
so
everyone
much.
for coming to our stream. Next week there will not be a stream because it is Anime Next, and most of our party will be there, including myself. So if you're going to Anime Next, we will see you there. If not, we will see you hopefully in like 2 weeks' time.
Please
have a great
please
night.
come say hi if you do see us at Anime Next.
Yes, please.
I like friends. That's a real life thing.
Heck yeah. Alright. Have a good night. Bye.